is Erin and I'm a freshman at the University of Idaho. Welcome to my podcast. Today we're going to talk about how school affects our mental health as college students and how COVID-19 has played a role in mental health too. Our first segment of today is the statistics of how mental health and college students affect each other in unique ways. Let's talk about the stats when it comes to mental health and college students. 25% of students will end up with a mental health problem by the end of their time at a college or university. That's 1 in 4 students. We take my old dorm room that had me and 3 other girls in it. That means one of us are going to end up with a mental health problem. It's even higher for freshmen. 35% of them are going to have a mental health problem in their first year of college. Unfortunately, most colleges aren't helping those statistics because they don't have the resources to help every single student that needs counseling. They tend to overbook or send students away so the students don't get the adequate help that they actually need to get better. Anxiety and depression are the highest contracted mental health illnesses when it comes to students. To break down the 25% of students with mental health issues, 80% of them have anxiety and 44% of them have depression. 13% of the students that say they have anxiety reported to have depression too. Today I'm going to interview Austin Fuller. He goes to Volunteer State, a community college based in Middle Tennessee. He's in his second year there, getting ready to graduate next month and move on to bigger and better things with his life. I want to thank you, Austin, for joining me here today to talk about how school has affected you in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions related to school and how mental health has affected you.
Alrighty.
So my first question is, what were your views on school before COVID-19 has started?
Honestly, I do feel like I have a little bit of a different type of perspective on things when it comes to school. I definitely think it is a great place for opportunities, especially depending on what type of career you would like to go into. Now, me personally, I do feel like, there are some careers that don't necessarily need things. There's a lot of new budding careers that are coming out in this new internet day and age that you don't really necessarily need a college degree, though it does help to have.
So how do you believe those views of school have changed since COVID-19 has started? Since we've all gone online?
I definitely think that it has helped some people realize that, because there's a lot of ways that you can make money just from sitting in your own home, and it's a lot of ways that I feel like people may have not necessarily realized that you could do, and I am one of those people. I've started doing things like drop shipping and a couple little other side hustles that I've been working on and growing, and that has become like a pretty nice income for one, especially in this really weird time, but it's also become like a good mindset. It made me realize hey, really, school's not always the answer. There's other options out there, and that definitely has helped in the thought process of going through the rest of my college career, because right now I'm only going to be sitting at an associate's degree, and eventually I would like to maybe get a bachelor's degree, but as of right now, seeing these new opportunities, I'm not necessarily certain that's what I want to do.
Since we've started going online because of COVID-19, do you think you've developed any mental health issues since the beginning of this era?
I wouldn't necessarily say developed, but I definitely think things like stress and anxiety have become more prevalent, especially because a lot of these classes aren't meant to be online. They're usually supposed to be taught in a classroom, and because of that, a lot of professors don't really have knowledge of how the online system works and how to necessarily translate certain things to an online setting. And because of that, that's definitely made things a little bit harder when it comes to getting tests up. I actually had an instance where I was taking a test that was completely online, and one of the questions, there was it was missing one of the answers, so we couldn't necessarily guarantee what to answer that question was. So because of that, that's definitely caused things like a little bit of stress and anxiety, and then some teachers don't necessarily know how to show where assignments are, and that's become a problem where you'll see in a grade book you get a 0, but it's something that you never knew was even an option. So that that's become a little bit of an issue. It's definitely not as bad as it was in the beginning. Nowadays, since we're kind of towards the end, it has slowly started to iron itself out.
Fair enough. do you, like, talking about pre and during COVID right now, do you think the school has done anything to help you with your sake of your mentality? Like, have they like offered any resources to help you with that?
I wouldn't necessarily say the school has, but professors have individually tried to do their best with it. But obviously they can only do so much. They don't really have, really all they can do is just, answer questions and try and be there for you. And some professors are a little different than others, so some a little more easier to get an explanation out of or whatever it may be. So the school itself has not really done anything, but certain professors have tried to help and keep things as smooth as possible and doing their best, which shout outs to them. But the school, not really.
So do you think that the school should be doing something different with that, or do you think that the professors, it should just solely rely on the professors to help you guys with this?
I definitely think the college should definitely step up, just because it's not something that a single person can prevent, because you got to also remember these professors are teaching multiple students and having to keep up with them. I definitely think that the college could do some things different and offer help to not only the students but professors and making sure everything goes smoothly. But this is a weird time, which I understand, but I definitely think, because even before COVID-19, my school didn't really have that many options for students necessarily. I mean, there was like a couple little places that you could go if you needed to talk to someone, but other than that, that was pretty much it. And I definitely think there could have been things put in place to help definitely reduce anxiety on things and have more approachable people instead of just being closed in like a small room somewhere.
What do you believe that the school, once we do go back to normal classes, what do you think that the school should put in place for you, or like for future students?
See, that's the thing. One thing is that every student's different, so it is kind of hard to exactly say what they should do, because my opinion is obviously going to be different from someone else. But I definitely think having more of like a student relationship, or having a place where students can go and truly, voice their opinions and their, opinions be heard, could definitely help. And listening to the students is one thing that I think truly goes underappreciated in certain circumstances, because I feel like a lot of things can be avoided if the students had a say in certain situations, whether it's whatever to do with like a certain class or whatever it may be.
Okay, well, that was my last question. I want to give you a big thank you for coming on today and hanging out and answering all my questions.
Again, thank you for having me.
So, mental health affects college students worldwide and can really put a toll on how they're doing academically. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today and listening to what we had to say about mental health. But now it's time for me to tune out. Bye, guys!